Thank you, Jonathan, for coming.
Thank you very
How
much.
are you doing? How was your day?
I'm really good. Busy day, been in work.
Good.
Love Terry's bar.
Yeah, it's a nice addition.
I think it's a nice touch for the old man as well.
It is. Like I said, we had this done in
Yeah,
honour of his memory,
yeah,
and
class.
it was important. And I told you the story about it anyway, didn't I? I think before. Oh, you heard it online. Right, well, when he passed, and I wanted
Right.
to build this, I had a gentleman come out and sold me the dream in the middle of COVID. I can do this, I can do that, and I ended up getting ripped off.
Oh,
So,
okay.
long story short, I had to get someone else out to do the bar, which I had to like pretty much dismantle it and re-erect it again. But I always say everything happens for a reason. I had
True.
the right man on the job in the end, and
Yeah.
money's irrelevant because I had this built in honor of my father. So it's great. I love it. The girls love it. We last year we didn't spend much time out here, but Christmas time we did, which
Yeah.
was fantastic. And you know yeah, I like it. I like that fact we got Mortal Kombat over there.
That's awesome. I've noticed
Yes,
that.
we got the fridge, we got Sky, and he's great. I got my father's Wall of Fame over there, as I call it.
Yeah.
It's his my grandfather, his father,
Right.
yeah, all those kind of things. So yeah, so where are you in yourself, like mentally and all those kind of things? Don't like using that word, but we have no.
But it's,
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
true. Can't
Yeah.
avoid it.
Mm.
It's a good question.
Mm.
10 years ago, very much a different person.
Yeah.
Um, I just totally nosedived,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'd never ever suffered with mental health before until my relationship broke up, and I just literally within. I think I went numb for like 3 days.
Well, I got to ask you a question before we finish it.
Yeah,
Can I ask this to someone the other week?
yeah.
When he wasn't going for mental health, and if you heard someone going to mental health, would you have had, and you can be honest with it, the
Yeah.
attitude at the time were like, well, it doesn't exist. You just like gaining attention for that.
No, I tell you
No.
why. Because I've got a sister who suffers with bipolar,
Mm.
so I kind of was aware
Yeah.
and kind
Okay.
of understood to a degree. And
Yeah.
I've always been that type of person anyway. And I've always been like a people's person. I probably wouldn't have fully understood like I do now,
Yeah.
but I've always been understanding of people because everyone goes through different things.
Of course they do. Everyone
Do you
got
know
a
what I mean?
story to tell, haven't
Everyone's
they?
got a story to
Mm.
tell. But yeah, I literally I think I went numb for a couple of days, and then I just sort of I knew I was bad.
Mm.
I was feeling things I'd never felt before.
Mm.
So obviously I had when my father passed, I knew he was I knew he
Yeah.
wasn't well.
Yeah.
I knew it, was aware. It was like, and I was prepared for it mentally. I was prepared for it. And
But
I
emotionally, you wasn't.
emotion
No.
probably not.
Mm.
Well, are you ever ready?
No.
Even when you know it's
No.
happening. And it's weird because I remember, funny enough, I was like really close to my dad,
Mm.
and I actually wrote, ironically enough, the day before he collapsed, I actually wrote a letter to him. My intention was to put it in the post.
Yeah.
I couldn't, even though I was close to him, I couldn't say it like we were now.
No. No. No.
But it was almost my way of saying thank you so much for everything you've done for me.
Mm.
And I think mentally I knew he ain't got long.
Yeah.
So I started writing this letter out.
Yeah.
Which luckily, and I've got it to this day, and luckily my mother read it to him in the hospital, and I was just like so grateful. And it's kind of ironic how we ended up with a letter, because I was still writing it,
Mm.
and you said like everything happens for a reason.
Of course it does. Everything happens in reason. Like.
The weird thing is we were taking our son to school we were going to move him to Danes Court Junior School,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that morning he collapsed. We were running late, and obviously we didn't have a letter ready to say, look, sorry, he's late today. He's gone to his new school to take a look.
Yeah.
So my missus at the time grabbed this notepad that I'd written this thing out in,
Yeah.
this letter in, and we took it off with us to the school. And after that we'd been to the school, they said, she said, I'm going to take him to McDonald's. And I had work that morning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they were like, do you want to go and see your dad, or do you want to come to McDonald's with us? And I said, look, my dad was he was like really tired last night when I spoke to him on the phone. I said, I'm going to let him rest. Obviously, hindsight. But having said that, even if I'd gone to the house that morning and found him on the floor, there's nothing I could have done.
No, not at all.
What was going to happen was going to happen. But obviously, I chose to go with the missus and the kids to McDonald's and then go to work, where I got the dreaded call.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But luckily, because she'd taken that
Yeah.
whole pad with her, he got to hear the
Well, I'm
letter.
glad of that
And
because
that
yeah.
helped. Yeah. Do you know
that
what I mean?
helped you as
But
well.
it's given me a bit of peace. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? But I think I had that, and I think when my dad died, it was like I had about 16 months before everything went wrong, completely wrong. But what I was suffering with my dad was not depression. That was grief.
Yeah,
That was
100%.
a big difference. And in my mind, I was going. I don't know. Funny enough, I had a Facebook memories are dangerous, aren't they?
Oh, when they pop up, but like from 10 years ago, and you look at it, and all of a sudden, oh my God, it could be good or
Well,
bad, couldn't
good
it?
or
You know,
bad.
just,
I
yeah.
had a Facebook memory, and it said, I'd written in there that how I was reflecting on the year,
Yeah.
and this was literally probably like 3 months before it all went wrong,
Mm.
and I'd said, thank God for my missus and my kids,
Mm.
and literally within 3 months, my missus and my kids
It all
were gone.
ended.
And I just that's when do you know what, I was like, I was angry, I was frustrated, I hated the world, I hated everybody,
Hated women, probably.
hated women, I hated
Yeah.
men, I hated
We
everyone.
all go through it, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was driving like a complete idiot,
Yeah.
and that's when I
Like
went,
you stole a car or something.
yeah,
You know?
honestly, it was
Yeah.
like Grand Theft Auto every
Yeah,
day.
yeah. Loving life.
Loving life.
No.
No, but it was like, and
Yeah,
it was
of course it is,
literally, it was stupid. I was doing like, I remember going down the motorway doing like 130 miles an hour to go to work. It was just stupid thing.
If I'm honest, I've been there. We've all done it. Mm.
Stupid. Do you know what I mean? 130 miles, yeah, to go to work. And I thought, I need to go to the doctor because I'm going to kill someone. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to do something stupid. I'm either going to lose my rag and like do something I never do, which is hit somebody, or I'm going to kill someone behind the wheel of the car because I'm all over the place. And I could feel it. My hands were just
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor's and he was like, "Yeah, Bush medicated straight away." You know, but it was a lesson, and like I said, you get to a point where I always say to people, you've got to surround yourself when you're at rock bottom. You need to don't ever isolate yourself.
No,
and I know
that's
a lot
the worst
of
thing
people
you can do.
Worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
But you've got to surround yourself with good friends and family. That's most important. Don't get me wrong. I have been in a place where I've been in a room full of friends, and I might as well have been a fly on the wall.
Yeah. It's like if you were invisible to them and they didn't
And that
see
was
you.
in the early days. It was just like I was in the room, but I wasn't. But it's so important because so many people, especially men, will just shut the door and isolate themselves. And I've been there. I have done it. Don't get me wrong, but you have got to be the CEO of your own life. You have to hire and fire accordingly.
Because it's interesting what you said about being in a room then with people. Like I've done that many times over the years. And that's why I learned to disconnect myself. So if I go in a room full of people now and I feel that I'm alone or I feel like I'm not connecting with these people, I find myself leaving and going away because I've been in many times and you stay there maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and you feel horrible because you're like, well, these people dislike me or what's wrong, and you've got all these questions in your head you're not going to get the answers to, and then you just feel so uncomfortable. By many accounts I felt like I wanted to cry. I was like, oh my God, you know, it just...
Or are you dragging them down?
Yeah.
Bringing the whole mood
am
down?
I having an impact on him, and that's why they're thinking, oh, you know, let's leave him there because, you know, he's not fitting in with us sort of thing.
The thing is with it, it takes, with like mental health, and I know we say, oh, mental, I'm not allowed to use the word mental. Well, it is what it is.
It is, yeah.
It is mental health at the end of the day, and I can say it.
Well, yeah, exactly. People are dressing it up now. We can't say this. Can't say no. It is mental health. People are suffering. It's mental health. It comes under that umbrella.
A lot of that going on.
Yeah.
At the moment, and we've done the same with, like, you know, we had the asylums, and you can't say asylum anymore.
No.
Move away from that. And it's like, it's a big thing. And I've got friends, and I say, you're having a hard time. I say, look, life is hard.
Of course it is.
Don't feel embarrassed about it, because it is what it is. And funnily enough, it's nice to know. I got some, for example, I got someone in work. A couple of guys in work. There was one guy about 6 months ago. I won't mention his name, but he was having issues with the mother of his child.
Yeah.
Child's not even 1 year old. And he was in work, and he was literally at his fitting, and he was a mess. Now, I was off work that day, and somebody went over to him and said, look, what's the matter? What's going on? And you could see he was just all everything. And they said, he explained what was going on. He was having trouble seeing his child, and he just didn't know what to do. And they said to him, right, go speak to John Smith. Because he's the one who's been through it, and he will help you with it. And I thought, do you know what? It's nice, even though it's a bit of a like, you know, it's not a nice thing to talk about, but to feel that someone was saying, go and speak to him, because he's the guy to talk to in this office if it comes to stuff like that. He will.
It's because you had the tools to equip him with, because you've been through it.
I've been through it.
And I'm glad you've touched upon that, because I hate it, and I've said it before, when women, because it's more women that do it than ever, stop the fathers from seeing the children. Now, I always say, even if that man is cheated, or to a, like, if that man was very violent and aggressive, that's different. But if he's cheated or done something wrong to that person, that woman, she shouldn't stop him from seeing the kids, because she's punishing not just the man, she's punishing the children as well. And that's
Do you know
wrong.
what? This is a big thing for me, because I'm on a lot of forums because of what I've been through. I've on all, and this is where I've educated myself. Unfortunately, it is a broken and biased system.
Yeah, of course it is.
Big time. And I don't care what anyone says, it's not in favour of the man at all.
No.
Right? Children automatically go to mum, and for some reason, women are just seen as the better option to bring up a child. I don't think that is always the case.
It's not. And when I was going through the stuff, like I said, I've never really talked about it in depth too much, but when I went through the stuff with the girl's mother, the whole system was broken. It still is, and it was then, because even though the girls were with me, right, I couldn't claim like the child maintenance or anything, because she had stated the kids were leaving with her. And when I rang them up and said, no, they're with me, even after solicitor's letter, the woman on the phone, I still got the recording somewhere, said, no, because the kids always go to the mother. And I said, well, this is not the case. They've even ignored a solicitor's letter. So that went on for about 2 years. And then they had to refund me then all this money then, because of obviously they give it out to the wrong person. And I was shocked that would happen. They would believe that the woman is always has the kids and says, oh, man can't have the kids.
I got to a point, child maintenance service nearly cost me my house when I was renting. And I ended up going, I'd been off sick with work because of my depression originally years ago.
Yeah.
Then I got back into work, and I was like, right, knuckle down, right, 6 days a week, just, keep focused. Child maintenance service got involved, and I nosedived again. I ended up off on work again with depression. I was back on medication, and I got to a point I couldn't. Depression. Well, CMS knew I came close to just saying, do you know what, I'm done.
You've had enough.
I'd had enough. Child maintenance service have been hell on earth.
And when you get to that dark place, you start planning it, and you're going, this is how I'm going to do it. This is when I'm going to. Yeah, you do, and you're thinking of all. And this, I've never said this before. But when I was going through that, like in my head, when I felt that way, right, I was actually excited about the thought of doing it to end my pain. And that's bad. That is bad, but that's how dark and deep it gets.
This is an important thing as well. When I don't think anyone really wants to die.
No,
when
nobody
people
does.
commit suicide, and I know it's a really sensitive or topic to talk about, they don't want to die. They just want the pain to end.
They do.
But the thing is, it does get easier. And if I could give anyone a message, it does get easier. And don't get me wrong, it takes years. It took me a long time to get out of that.
It does, and this is what all this is about. It's about helping people as well, because there's so many men out there that we know have, I'm going to use the correct word, unalived themselves because of situations like this where they can't see the children, they get severely depressed. And for years, I used to say that when they do that, it's being selfish because of the people they leave behind. But now I have more of an understanding, because I've been there myself as well on a couple of occasions mentally. I understand it's not the case that they want to. They just, in the end, they go, oh, well, this is the only option for me now.
Yeah, I think...
And they go, the world is a better place without me in it. And they start thinking that.
I thought originally, I'd lost my children, and I was in a box bedroom. Everything I owned was packed up in a unit. And I remember going down there with a mate one day, and he was like, "Is this all your stuff?" And I was like, "Yep." And
in it like a
all in boxes,
square box or something. Yeah.
I said, "I don't even know when." I've been so used to moving and unpacking at the other end, and I said, "At the moment, I don't even know when this stuff's going to get unpacked. I'm in a box bedroom now. I've had a home, and now I'm in a box bedroom. I mean, it's soul destroying, And I think for a man, I look at it as in like, do you know what? It's hard for a man when you build an empire, don't you? With you get married, or you have kids, and you get a home, and there's nothing worse than losing that. Well, that's how I felt.
No.
When you've built up so much and you're so proud of what you've got, and then it just goes.
And then you go in. Can I do all this again? I got to start again.
And I just felt the CMS. It was like when they got involved, and I just think, oh, do you know what? When the state get involved in your life, your personal life, it's like you don't need them telling you what to do. The thing is, I sort of felt what annoyed me is that for my personal circumstances was that I was paying, and I was quite happy paying. I wanted to pay. They're my children. Of course I want to pay. And they were involved anyway. And I sort of remember picking up the phone to them and saying, look, I've given X amount in the last 3 and a bit years, and I don't know why you're involved.
Mm.
And the response I had back was that my ex-partner was perfectly entitled to open a case against me.
I know.
And going back on what you said was,
Mm.
I remember phoning them up, and they basically said to me that they had to believe what the custodial parent
Yeah.
told them. And it was like, you operate like that?
Exactly.
And it's just...
I think it's a corrupt system. I do.
I think it's totally
they should look at the facts and look at everything.
I tell you what, I will be honest with, and I'm in touch with a few people. There's who are trying to expose the CMS, and at the moment, it is. I know GB News actually had an article on it back before Christmas, and I think it was Richard Tice actually said it was a scandal that was going on.
Yeah.
But it just hasn't come out yet. Nobody really wants to talk about it. BBC News, they're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. But he said, if you think about it, for example, now I was hit with arrears that I didn't know, and this is why I got really ill, because they basically were going to go to my employer and take money off me. And I said, right, so now I've come this far to rebuild my life, and get a home and somewhere for my children to stay. I'm now going to lose it again. Within 5 years, I'm going to lose it all over again, unfairly so.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be back to square one again. And it was just like, is this actually happening to me? Because I think I'm a good person, and I'm paying for my children. I'm easy pickings because I've got a job.
Yeah.
And I've got an employer. Because if you've got your own business, you can get around it.
Yeah. I get. Yeah, of course you can.
And some people are doing that, and I just think, well, why would you want to not? Because I remember I got to a point where I had to cut my hours down.
Yeah.
Because it was pointless me working.
Because you're working just to pay the CSA, and it's just like
I worked out in the end when I went to my employer and I cut my hours down. I was working for an extra. It was like an extra. So I was working 6 days a week. I went down to 4. There was no point me working for those extra 2 days. It was £50 extra. So over those 2 days, it was 25 quid. So I was getting up at 4 in the morning, working till 2:30 for £25.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me once, "Oh yeah, well yeah, if you want to get out of paying for your paying for your children, that's the way to do it." And I went, "Whoa,
no, it's not about you want to pay for your children.
It's not about not paying for my children. I'm quite happy to pay for my children, but I'm being tucked up here. I'm working my backside off for £25.
But this is the issue, isn't it? It's like the CSA, they get involved, and this is why I think if you can get two parents which can conduct themselves in the right way as grown adults, put the kid first or the children first, and deal it between you, because I seen something, I think it was on TikTok the other week, and it's about a guy, and I'm assuming he was like self-employed or something, and he agreed an amount to give his ex-partner, and he was giving her more than enough. I don't even know much of it. It was a good few £100 a month, and she was giving him grief, and she was saying, "I'm going to go to the CSA, do this and that." So he turned around to her and said, "Go to the CSA." She went to the CSA. The money he had to give her was half of what he was giving her. So then she said, "Can we revert back to the original?" And he went, "Absolutely not." And I burst out laughing. I thought, that is your fault for being karma. Stupidity. Yeah,
that's your karma for being greedy.
Greedy, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the system is currently... I remember being shocked when I found out how they work, because it was like... they were like... I was on the phone to them and they said, I had all my outgoings.
Yeah.
Right, I was like, right, this is what my rent is, and this is what... Right, I'm expecting them to take it all down.
Yeah.
And she went, "I don't want any of that." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, what do you want then?" She went, "I just need to know your gross." I said, "Sorry, you..." I said, "Do you mean my net? You mean my net?"
Yeah.
Surely, I don't take home my gross.
No, exactly.
And she was like, "No, all the government have told us to do is to, look at your gross and how often you see your children, and pretty much that was it." And I was like, and then you work it out. You think, right, so you're telling me then, if I'm not going to say mum, it is mainly, as we said, it is mainly the blokes. Of course it is. Doing it, but you're saying then basically, if the custodial parent says, well, he's not seeing the children, and you have to believe the custodial parent, right? Because that's what you've already said. Then they're going to get more money. So it actually pays mothers or the custodial parent to prevent the child from seeing the father.
Yeah.
And that's when we get parental alienation. So actually, it encourages parental alienation.
Yeah, and it's less money for you to spend on your child. So when you've got your child, then you're like, well, I haven't got no money to spend on them. And then the woman will attack you over that then. Oh, the child's with you, but you're not spending anything on them.
This is the problem with the child maintenance service. Because, again, I remember they say, "Oh, well, we're lifting children out of poverty." No, you're not.
Mm.
No, you're not. Because,
Mm.
and I will confess, Steve, right? When I was at my lowest,
Mm.
I remember picking the kids up one Friday, and they were only little, and I felt so bad. I
Mm.
wanted to do something with them, and they were obviously come out the house and they're excited. What are we going to do, Daddy? Sort of thing. And I remember the CMS. I'm paid weekly, which is, a lot of people say it's great. I find it really hard being paid weekly because you literally, by the time you go right, mortgage, child maintenance, fuel, blah blah blah.
If you get monthly, you know where you are now.
You know,
It's like
you
one
are.
lump.
You get, well, at least you know all your bills are
Yeah,
covered,
100%.
right? And I remember just picking the kids up one day, and I went to like Pound Stretcher or something, and I had to go and buy birdseed on my credit card, and we went over to the castle. And don't get me wrong, the kids were happy.
Yeah.
But I thought they left me with so little to survive on that I've got to use my credit card to buy birdseed. I've used my credit card to buy milk and bread in the past because of the child maintenance service. You know, it's like, I think, what am I doing this? And how am I? And
it makes you feel worthless as a father as well, doesn't it? Because you're like, totally. I can't provide for my children like in the way you want to. You're giving them love and attention, but like when they're younger, like when my girls used to smile, and then I used to look at them and I used to tear up because I was thinking, I'm letting you down.
Do you know what?
Know, it's like, wow.
Yeah. And I've told the kids that before now. I'm sorry. I've actually said I'm sorry because I feel like I'm letting you down.
I've done that as well. Yeah. You do.
This is not what I wanted for you. I wanted so much better. But then you've got to look at it in a sort of. Was it you did a video the other day where you said someone said to you, "Oh, you can't keep being positive all the time.
Yes,
it's not easy for everyone." And I think you said, "Well, so what you want us to do? Stay
and just be negative and be miserable."
So right, we'll change the platform tomorrow. As of tomorrow, it'll
negative
stay
Steve.
Negative with Steve.
I know.
Steve's going to come out this house. He's going to.
And I tell you why, because that person is in a negative cycle. Yeah. So rather than see that what I'm saying is the truth and try it themselves, put it into their own lives, put it into practice, they won't do it. They want to stay in that negative cycle. Constantly. And
do you know what though as well, right?
Yeah.
If we could spread love as quickly as we spread hate and negativity,
100%,
we would live in a beautiful world.
Do you know what always blows my mind, right? When we were children and we would ride our bike, the first time we'd have the stabilizer and then you take the stabilizer off and you fall off, your mother and father would be there, right? And they would kiss your knee better and they'd say, "Come on, get up, you can do it." And even your friends, when you're sat you're by the edge of the pool, they've all jumped in. You've never jumped in the pool, you're petrified. They're going, "Come on, you can do it, you can do it." And not egging you on in a bad way, but filling in with all this confidence, and you do it. And then all of a sudden you want to do it again and again. What happens to all that then? You get older, and those same people then, when you're down, they keep you down. Yeah, and they'll kick you when you're down. And they'll spread verbal diarrhea about you because it makes them feel significant.
Them feel more superior and better about themselves. I don't know why.
I know.
It's a peculiar sort of...
Because for me, right, I know someone, I'm not going to mention his name, I was speaking to him earlier on when I was coming back from Cardiff, right, and he suffers the last couple of years with depression. He comes to me a lot, and he's been suffering the last couple of days. Now, I was saying to him yesterday, because, like, he's got money, he got cars, you know, he lives in a house which is worth close to £1 million, right? And he's a nice guy, but he's suffering with depression. And when he's tried telling other people, because obviously the world doesn't want to listen if they haven't been through it, they will say to him, "But you've got everything. What's wrong with you?"
You haven't got everything.
No
one has got everything.
No, you haven't.
No one. And that's superficial. It's all materialistic.
Of course it is.
And people say, "Oh," and I remember a few years ago, my kids saying, "Dad, if you won the lottery, would you be happy?" And I went, "Well, I'd be happier."
Yeah.
But I mean, would I be happy? So when I drop you kids back to your mum's on a Sunday evening, and I drive back to my 8-bedroom house with my swimming pool, and I'm just sitting in my pool on my own. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
And it's mad. Yeah, it does. It's like with this person I'm on about. Like, he's very successful. He's done very well in his life, and I'm proud of him for that, right? But when I'm around him, I see him as he is, as a person. I don't see him as this person which lives in this big house, got this nice car, earns more money than anyone could dream of. I see him as a person.
I'm like that. I see people for people. And look at all these rock stars who've unalived themselves, for example. And they've got everything. Yeah. And again, you know, they might have millions in the bank. They've got the perfect house, but they're just like me and you.
They are. Do you know what? I'm not going to name them. There's someone that I interact with on TikTok. none of you know who he is because there's no picture, there's nothing, I interact with him. But he deals with a lot of celebrities. He deals in an area that used to be in years ago, like with TV and all that kind of stuff, right? But he's behind the scenes. He's more of like a manager and stuff like that. And he's openly told me, like with some of the celebrities, like, you know, when you strip it all back, you know, you can sit at the bar with them, have a pint, they laugh and joke, they're deaf and blind, and they just normal people. But a lot of them are severely depressed as well.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some of them, they get
I've
so depressed and anxious that they can't do the things that they would normally do.
heard of that.
And I added in, and I was telling my friend who don't watch, I was on about just now, because he was surprised as well, because I say to him, look, you know, I haven't had anxiety for years, you know, depression part on and off, and I openly done this on a video a good few months ago. I think it was in the summertime. I was walking into Home Bargains, videoing myself. I get through the door, full of confidence that I normally am.
Yeah.
And I goes, everyone's looking at me. I start shaking, panic. I run out of the store. And I got riddled with anxiety again, all in that split second. And that was the first time that happened to me in about 7-8 years. And then after about 15 minutes, I was all right. And I was like, I literally felt like I've never done a video before in my life. It was just, and I said, just like that, everything can change.
No, yeah,
You know?
totally. And that's, again, I know when you mentioned then Home Bargains and stuff, I got to say this because I've said this to you before about you making me.
Would you? I never did Home Bargains, Alistair.
Never did answer, right? Yeah, Nick stealing my blooming bacon joints.
Oh, they're mine, mate. They're mine.
Drawing the line there.
You won't want to touch them.
You know, because you even did a video on it one day, winding me up.
I know.
You took the last one.
I did. It was the last one as well.
You took the last one, and you were giggling about it.
I know. I tell you what, they are nice though from there, aren't they?
They're lush.
But the girls,
especially if you're after the gym as well.
yeah, the girl, like Emily don't like them that much. Olivia will have it, but I'll eat the full one to myself.
I will.
Because I'll go to myself, oh, I'll have a bit now, I'll have some tomorrow. I eat it all then.
Yeah, I do.
I'm like, oh.
I put sriracha all over it.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It is nice, it falls apart.
Honestly, and then I've got the cats around me, the dog,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh wait.
I know, but it is full of protein. Ideal for the gym.
Ideal.
Yeah.
But what was I going with this one? When I see you up, I think, because I don't know what the first video, obviously I saw something, it's probably like something about narcissism or something, and I thought, oh, I like that video. Maybe this guy does stuff in this area.
Yeah.
So it's me educating myself. And then I got to see a few more of your things that popped up, and it was like, oh, hang on a minute, this guy's in Caerphilly.
Yeah.
And it was just, what was weird is I think where I'd lost myself a few years ago, I guess I just didn't feel normal.
No. I know where you're going. Go on.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
And then I would just see you walking into Home Bargains to get like, and I'm like, I've got an aftershave in the glove box in the car.
Yeah.
From Home Bargains. Cheeky little thing, right?
Mm.
And just to see you going there, you're like, yeah, I'm getting my aftershave.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're not doing anything particularly, don't take this the wrong way, you know what I'm
No.
saying.
No.
You're not doing anything special, you're just being you.
Exactly.
But it works.
Yeah.
And like, you're in Asda's and you're just getting a sandwich and a bottle of pop. And it's like, but you're in my Asda's.
Yeah.
And you're in my Home Bargains. And there's just so much stuff that I could relate to. And I thought, it's just so simple.
Yeah.
But I thought, but I do that. And it just made me feel I'm a normal person.
Yeah.
Another story I'm going to say. And it made me realise a few years ago, because I think what was good for me, I managed, about 5.5 years ago, I managed to get back on the property ladder.
Yeah.
So it was the first time, it's been a really, like, slow journey. But obviously you go from box bedroom. I remember when I got into my rental house and I thought, this is amazing. And then when I got our rental, it was like, oh, yes, I'm not renting anymore.
Yeah.
Who wants to rent? Right?
No one wants to. It's dead money, isn't it?
Dead money. And I got my house and I thought, all right, it's only a two up, two down, but it's mine. I can do what I want with it.
Absolutely.
And I just feel so free with that. And it was then that I really started to feel I was healing. So about 5.5, 6 years ago. But it took me about 6 years.
Because you started taking control of your life and things started falling into...
I achieved something.
You did, yeah.
And I think that's what... Don't get me wrong, I had to lose my nan to sort of get to that point. And that's always a bit... Yeah. But I think I tried to twist it. And go, but she's a part of it.
She's a part of it. And your nan would be so proud of you knowing that you put that to so good use and it helped you put your life back on track. So she's helped you do that.
100%.
You know? She might not be here. She's always in here and on here, but she's helped you put your life back together.
I think with life, everything's got a knock-on effect. If you start to feel more positive up here, then you start 100%. To achieve better. You start to achieve better, Yeah,
Yeah.
and everything falls into place.
And this is what I say about the mindset. It's such a powerful thing because if you get up in the morning and just go, oh, I'm going to have a bad day, that's it. I don't really care. My day's doomed, right? 100% you'll have a bad day because you create that. You get up in the morning, just, you know what? I'm going to have an amazing day. I don't care what happens. And you walk out that door, you smile, you see someone up the street, good morning. And it's important because then they look up and go, what?
Yeah.
Someone's
Do you
paid
know what?
attention to me.
That
They've
is
noticed
when-
me.
It's funny you should say that. I remember walking into my local Premier shop,
Yeah.
right, probably about 3 years. So I'd been in my house about 2 years by then. And I walked into the shop and I got my milk, my bread, and whatever. And you only get to know the people in the shop.
Yeah.
And I walked up and I made a bit of a joke with it. I think I bought some Baps or something. Right. You know what I'm going with this?
No, Gail's
Oh,
baps.
Gail's
Really?
not watching.
Gail, you watching now? He's on about your baps again.
Right, but I made a joke with the lady and I left and I went, yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, I went, ta then Angela, see you again.
Yeah.
And I walked out and I just started smiling and I thought, oh my God, I thought, I'm back. Like,
Yes.
you with me? Like,
That's it, yes.
I'd spent
It's like a weightlifter. You feel
I
differently.
felt different. I
Yeah.
thought, I just said goodbye, Ange, and I was like, even though it's such a little thing, I had spent so long looking at the floor and not talking to people and not really wanting to know that it was nice to sort of feel that way again because that is how I'd always been.
And do you know what I'm noticing, especially around here in Caerphilly, I say everybody's miserable, but I think what it is a lot more people depressed than you realise because I see more people looking at the floor than ever now. And I make a conscious effort when I go past people, I say good morning or good afternoon, right? And a lot of people, a woman earlier on, she walked past me outside just as you was parking your car. And she walked past and I said, oh, good afternoon. And she looked up and she went, oh, hiya. And she smiled with a beaming smile because it was like, whoa, someone's just like said hello to me and noticed me.
I think at the moment things are so tough, especially in the UK.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
100%.
And obviously, we could go on a massive one about this, but I think it is having an effect on everyone. People are
Mental
struggling.
health, yeah. It's
Everything financially, everything's just so hard
course it
right
is.
now. I mean, we've always been a bit miserable here, haven't we? But
oh, yeah.
you know, when you go to the States and it was like, "Hello, sir,
Yeah.
how are you?"
I know. Well, I look. People are gonna eat me first, but I look at Caerphilly. Remember that film, The Hills Have Eyes, and all that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're like, that's what Caerphilly's like.
Yeah.
Or The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
Yeah.
they are a bit like that here.
It is. There's a lot of good people in Caerphilly, but there's a lot of miserable people, and they just, and not just Caerphilly, Cardiff, wherever you go now, people are
Cardiff's the same.
miserable. Yeah, and and I feel so sad because knowing that, and that's why I'm doing my thing, and other people are doing their thing online to just trying to change people's perspective on things and say, look, you don't have to be like. It's a choice, isn't it? We can choose to be miserable. We can choose to be negative.
Yeah.
We train ourselves to be that way by people and by ourselves. And I long time ago, I was like, I don't want to be like this and as soon as I mastered about being more positive, being more upbeat, doing this, doing that, the quicker things started working for me, and and everything just falls into place. It kind of aligns, and I started measuring up then a bit, to myself, which was good. So it's important.
I get that, and I think we all have like little, I have my moment, like Christmas time. I was I'm struggling around Christmas time. I always struggle at Christmas time, and I don't lie about it. I tell everyone, I'm struggling. Look, I don't enjoy Christmas. It's hard.
You shouldn't have to hide it. No,
I find it hard, and I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything.
No, and a lot of people, like I've always said, I hate Christmas for various reasons, and I think one of the reasons is because I've spent most of them on my own. I know people say, oh, you've got the girls, but it's a different thing altogether. It really is.
It is different.
Because it's like I've always said, like Christmas music, right? Now, if you're with a partner, all Christmas music is it can be kind of romantic in a way, and it can be happy. But when you're on your own, everything around Christmas music, you're in a negative way.
And you said, I know you asked me. You said, what are you doing Christmas? And I didn't even know the plans much until like last minute, and I was like, well, I'll probably go to the cemetery. And I was so, and I've had times when I haven't had like last year I didn't have the children until like 6 o'clock, and I got up Christmas Day. I went to the cemetery. I sat at my dad's grave for like half an hour, feeling sorry for myself. I went home. I think I hoovered. You know what I mean? And it's just like Christmas Day. You know what I mean?
And if the truth be known, and you're probably going to say the same year, if it wasn't for my girls, would I put up a Christmas tree? No.
I'm the same.
I wouldn't put nothing up.
And my son made me do it in like, I've always been quite thing that, until 1st of December, all the Christmas decorations remain in the loft.
Yeah.
But my son was like,
you got to do it
middle of November, and he was like, I could see he was excited. So I was like, I think it was like the first one up in the street to have like all the lights flashing. And it was just like,
and it is hard because like we don't want to put onto them how we feel, because otherwise it's learned behaviour. They'll grow up going, oh, well, Dad hated it, so I'm going to hate
I
it now.
know, and
And they don't want that.
I'm conscious of that sometimes. I think. I think
And go on, sorry, go on.
they shouldn't have to bear the load of our
No, of course they
problems,
shouldn't.
you know.
And but without realizing it, we do put that on them sometimes.
We do,
By the
yeah.
way, we say things in front of them, not meaning to, and then when we've done it, we think, oh my God, that's going to have an impact on them, you know. And like over the years, when the girls were younger, and I used to say to them, "I'm really sorry, girls, I'm really letting you down, but I'm going to do better." When I was hating on myself because other people were making me feel I was a bad person, I was saying, "I'm going to try and be a better father to you," and all that. And they used to say to me at the young age, "Oh, but Dad, you are a good father." And I look back now, and I was like, I shouldn't have been saying that
I
stuff.
think you'll realise, or I've started to realise, that I think we don't have to do anything. We will get judged. Our children will judge us like we've probably judged our parents.
Oh, they're going to judge us all the way. They're going to be our biggest critics.
And I think you've just got to leave everything, let it be, let nature take its thing, its course. Because I think I know that in years to come, I'll be judged.
Yes, we will.
And
Yeah.
they will.
And
have their own view on
all
it,
we can do is be the best parents and role models that we can for them and guide them in the right way. And it's trying to, not put what we go through onto them, because we don't want them to be affected.
We don't want them to be affected. We've got to prepare them for whatever life is going to. We need to give them the tools that they need. I got to be honest, like I was really naive thinking about it. I always thought, I think I thought growing up, I don't know about you, horrible things only happen to bad people. And
I did.
And I'm a good person.
I know.
So everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, no, if you're too nice, people will take advantage.
Yeah, but you know what? I always say that life is a lesson. And I think, and I believe in the universe, I say it a lot, and it's always guiding us and showing us, and it puts us through these situations, as hurtful and as horrible as it is, for us to learn to become stronger. And I do believe that.
You go on. No, it's interesting because, again, I know you've said about, and I think I've commented probably before on the platform, we're empaths.
Yes.
We're wired a different way.
Oh, definitely. Think a different way, react a different way.
And we go through life and we learn and we progress, right? And I'm going to, obviously, like with people who are narcissistic, if you think about it, they're not learning, they're not progressing.
And they won't.
No. And they never will. They're just going around in circles. And when you think about it, you've got to feel quite sorry for them. It's quite a sad life they have.
It is, because they can never face up to. Because if they ever faced up to who they are, it would scare the life out of them.
Oh, 100%.
They'd be like, "Oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
I've hurt people. I've destroyed people's lives."
I don't know how you can go through life being that disconnected and that cold and that sort of. I don't know.
Because the thing is, what they do is, they tell these stories, don't they? And they'll tell a version of events which happened, which is. Most of it is factual, but they put themselves as the victim, so they flip it all around. And then they add more and more onto it, and they lie and lie and lie. But what happens is, in the end with them, they've lied so much, it's physically a memory in you. They see it as a memory. It happened to them. And that's what makes them... Yeah, they believe it.
They actually believe what they're saying.
And they've just convinced themselves this is what's happened now. And it's unbelievable how toxic they are, but they can never face up to what they've done. And it's like, even like, when you scuffle across this quick with what's happened with me this week now, right? And I had a load of people come to my business page, right? And one woman put on there, right, on a comment, "You're nothing but a bully." She left about 7 comments, and I thought to myself, do you realise what you've just said and what you've just done? You've put 7 negative comments on a business platform, trying to bring me down, and then saying that I'm the bully.
So hang on, I think we know the bully is there.
Exactly.
Yeah, again, that is.
Yeah, and stuff like that, like even on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, it can really, really affect people's mental health. There's like someone said the other day on one of my posts, on a comment off one of those, which is true. Do anyone remember Caroline Flack and what happened there? Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Social media. And all that went on, and what happened with her?
Yeah.
People just still do not get it. It's cruel.
I don't know why. Again, because I see things all the time on social media, and I think, okay, I don't agree with you. I rarely will say, well, I don't agree with you on that, and I think this, that, and the other. I just think, all right, and I tend to scroll past because it's toxic and it's negative, and I'd just rather just go.
I do it all the time. If I've seen something like yourself, and I go, oh, I don't like it. I won't comment on it because that person, I don't know them. They can do what they do and I'm doing what I'm doing. But if I don't like what they say, I'm not going to go in and try and correct it.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it and I'll just move along.
Well, you've got an opinion and I've got an opinion, and
Exactly.
that makes us different, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Whereas we haven't got to all think the same.
No.
But I've got people who, and I know people who can be quite toxic,
Mm.
and I just think, well, that's a bit of a thing to say. You can't
Yeah.
box people in like that, and
No, but we
you
say
know, but
about us being empaths, and I think we do think differently. I'd like to think we think correctly, and we react in a different way. And I think a lot of people out there, whether they toxic or not, the way some people think and react, it blows my mind. I'm like, why would you even think that? Like sometimes I've had it where she's not in my life now, was ex-business partner before, and she used to go to me, oh, you publicize it when you go away. Well, your house will probably get broken into now. I'm like, who thinks like that?
who thinks like that?
I could go to the shops and that could happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It's just, but the way people's minds think and they put those silly comments in, you're like, why?
Why be
I wouldn't think of that. If my neighbour said I'm going away, oh, have a good holiday. I won't
Yeah.
go, have a good holiday, but you don't want to publicise that to anyone, just in case. It's all mind blowing the way people think compared to the way we would think and we would react towards it. I wouldn't go thinking of stuff like that or saying stuff like that.
I always think, when I've been at my lowest, and I always remember my mum's quite wise, bless her, and she's been a real help
Yeah.
over the years. And she's always said to me, whatever you go through in life, don't get bitter.
No.
Don't let life make you bitter.
No.
Learn from it, progress, move forward with it, and never hate anyone.
No, hate's
And
a strong word.
I've always been brought. My mum's always, even as a kid, if I said to my brother, "I hate you," my mum would be like, "Wait, that's a strong word." She always said that same thing.
Yeah.
Strong word. That's a heavy word, and it's true. And I think, do you know what? I don't hate anybody, to be honest.
I don't. And anyone is, all the people that have done bad to me, right? I don't hate them. I don't wish any bad on them, right? Obviously, karma comes good and bad,
Yeah.
and as long as they're leaving me alone, I wish them all the best in life. But I don't hate them. I don't like them as people,
Don't like them as
but I
people.
don't hate them because I think
It weighs you down.
hate
Hate is an emotion that will weigh you down.
it does, and it's like I was saying about the way people react, and sometimes, like even now when this has happened the last couple of days with me, and people's opinion on it, some people have contacted me over it, and I'm like, two wrongs do not make a right. I said, you don't. I don't conduct myself in that way. Just because somebody's done this or done that to me, I'm not going to do the same back to them. I'm not going to go, I'll do this to get even, and I'll get back to them, because I said it makes you the same as that
Same as
person,
them.
no different. And I said, if you're a better person, then you react in the way you should, not the way that
Yeah.
people expect you to react.
Yeah, totally.
Because when like I said, when my ex-friend, they ripped me off for like £18,000, right? I didn't go on his social media. I didn't go send him loads of texts. I didn't contact everyone was linked to him to try and make his life a misery. He done that to me because he's a narcissistic, toxic person.
Yeah,
I just didn't react. I
I
carried on going.
I had somebody last year, and it wasn't much, but then I don't take home much. As I said, I'm weekly paid, right? And maybe again, it was a lesson. I hadn't met him.
Mm.
I probably hadn't seen him for, well, I don't know, good few
Mm.
years, 10 years maybe. We were friends on Facebook. I used to work with him years ago, and he messaged me to say that he'd broken down. He said, "I'm really sorry, I've broken down in Swansea or something, and I've got no money, and I can't get money out because the shop's shut. Is there any chance I could borrow 30 quid?" And I was like, "Oh, hi Dave. How's it going? Long time no speak, sort of thing."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Look, and what made it worse for me, I thought, do you know what, you are sad." He was like, "I swear on my son's life."
Oh, I hate it when people do that.
Yeah.
I hate it
I
when they do
swear
that.
on my son's life, I'll put it back in your account later today. And I was like, "Could you just make sure?" I said, "Look, I'll happily transfer you over 30 quid. But I said, I'm weekly paid. I haven't got much myself. Could you just make sure you do that?" And I said, "Just get yourself sorted, get yourself home, and get some fuel and get home." Put the money in his account. Nothing. Gone.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what? I ain't even going to message you back.
No, and I don't blame you, because people have done that to me, and I'm like, you feel like you got to chase for the money, which
You know what you've done.
Yeah.
You know what you've done.
Yeah.
You know what I said to you, and you know what you've done. You've left me short, right? And I thought, the fact that you swore on your child's life, I'm sorry. I mean, what sort of low life are
Well,
you?
that's bad, because my father always told me that. He said, you know, if you're going to swear something in your children's life, that is wrong to do so, and you've got to carry her through it. You know what I mean? And people use that term loosely, don't they?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
swear
yeah.
to my kids, and it's
Yeah.
wrong. I believe it's wrong, and I just don't understand why people need to say that. Because instantly, if I learning what I've learned over the years, if somebody says that, I know that they're going to do the opposite straight away. Because
Yeah.
I wouldn't need to use that. I wouldn't say I'll swear on my children, I'll
Do you
swear
know,
on someone's life. I'd just say I will give you the money back.
I've had nothing. I've
Mm,
had times when I've been up. I've had times when I've been down
mm,
financially, all sorts,
mm.
right? And one thing I would never do is do that to somebody.
No, I wouldn't.
No matter how broke I am,
Yeah.
I personally hate owing people money. I wouldn't dream of doing that to somebody.
Mm.
It wouldn't even cross my mind.
No, and
And
yeah,
it's like,
it's just like David. Um, he is awesome, and sometimes it was like recently, like so when we was paying for the holiday. I know you won't mind me saying this, paying for the holiday for Poland, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he had a lot going on which he was sorting out and all that. And I said, well, look, rather than go in like weekly and pay it, let me just pay it off, and you give it back to me as and when. And because I'd done that, right? He was working all this extra overtime. He said, "No, I don't want this. I got to give it back to you. Got to give it back to you."
Yeah.
Because he's a good
He's a
person.
good person.
He's
Yeah.
a good person,
Yeah.
and he paid it back within less than like 2 months because he was like, "No, I don't want it over my head. Don't want to
Yeah,
remember."
yeah.
But I
get that.
just wanted to pay it so he didn't have to worry going
Worry.
in every week, But that's what good people do. Good people do.
Oh, do you know what? 100%. I had a friend a few years. Well, he's one of my best friends.
Mm.
Christian. He lives out in. He's from Cardiff, and we grew up. We've known each other since we were 7.
Yeah.
Me and his brother. And again, I've got a lot of my friends. I mean, I got a mate who's moved to California, way now, San Francisco, wherever he's gone in the States. Known him since I was 5. I've got a mate living in London who I've known since I was 5, and I've always felt really blessed. Like just to have one best friend is amazing. To be able to say I've got a handful who've always had my back.
Yeah.
And even when I've been at my lowest, they've been there for me. And I remember my friend who he's got married and he moved out to Taiwan. Or he was in Macau originally, just off Hong Kong.
Yeah, yeah.
And he phoned me up about, I don't know what it was. Must be I was in Kennedy at the time, renting. And it was when CMS had literally just making a mess of everything for me. And he phoned me up and he said, when are you going to come out and see me then, Mr. Smith? He goes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said, Christian, I said, I don't go on holiday anymore. And I used to go away every year.
Yeah.
I don't go on holiday now. I said, I can't even afford a caravan down the bay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I literally I pay bills. I'm paying my bills, and that's it. And I suppose
Paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck. Don't get me wrong. I've seen people who are worse off than me. So it's awesome. I've got a roof over my head, and I'm grateful for that. But I said, I can't. I won't be able to get out to see you. I don't know when. And he said to me, find out when you're next off work, and let me know. So I was like, okay, all right. He said, we'll go from there. We'll try and figure something out. I was like, well, I can't afford it. So
yeah.
And it was like, yeah. I said, I got 2 weeks off in July, whatever it was. Next thing I know, he's emailed me.
Yeah.
I've booked you a flight, Cathay Pacific.
Wow.
And back to Hong Kong. I'll meet you at the airport.
Ideal.
And I was just like, wow. I mean, I never felt so honoured. You know, and it was just like, you know, your friends are, you know.
You do,
and
yeah.
going back to, we've talked about narcissism and things like that. I think it's important to remember, if you've got somebody who's making you feel really, really low about yourself, one individual, and I look at my life and I think, you know what, I've got some really good friends and some really good family. Why would I listen to one pathetic individual who's making me feel like I'm nothing?
Exactly.
When I've got clearly a good bunch of friends and family that are telling me otherwise.
And that's why I always say, if you had 10 people in a room and one person told you he was a horrible person, but 9 of them told you he was a good person, most people would believe that one person.
Exactly.
You know, not realizing the majority as speaking the truth. Yeah. The minority, which is that one, is lying, is toxic.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, it takes a long time to learn that unless they see a video like myself or somebody else, and then they start realizing that, okay.
And to be honest, it's probably it's things like, you know, my mate taking me out to go and see him, getting back on the mortgage ladder, maybe stumbling on your platform. Everything
happens for a reason.
Is happening, and it's all helping. And it takes, I don't know, no one's saying, you go back when you said about this guy, said, oh, you know, not everyone can be positive. No one's saying it's easy. I don't get up every morning and go,
no.
jump out of bed,
Well,
right?
the last 2 days, I've been floored with what's going on in
With
work,
what's going on.
and like I said, his situation, unfortunately,
Mm.
in my personal life, I wouldn't go through any of that because I won't put myself in it.
Yeah.
But in a business world, when that happens, I can't get away from it.
I
I'm
think-
there, and it affected me for 2 days.
You're there, and it's
You know?
it's hard for you. And I suppose when you're you're the boss, you've got to go into work and
'Cause,
you've got to be like,
Exactly, and mentally for the last 2 days, it's battered me. Today, I feel great because I was like, I got to turn this around.
Mm.
I've done what I've done. I asked myself the question: is there any more I can do? I was like, no, there's nothing more you can do. You got to sit back, go away, enjoy yourself now, and that's the end of it. And
And-
that's what I've got to do.
that's what you've got to do. You've done the same. I've noticed with even with your platform, if you're down and you've always been straight with people, you say, "Do you know what,
100%.
guys, I'm not feeling it today."
Charge
Exactly.
me
I
now,
think you even
please.
took a bit of a break one day. I think you took a day off. And you said,
Yeah,
"Sorry,
and
I've
it-
had to take a day off because I'm just
Yeah,
not
and
myself." It's like,
last night I think I put a video up saying that I'm not going to put any videos up tonight. I'm staying away from social media because I needed to unwind, and
but it's good that you recognise, when you need to just step back,
yeah,
just momentarily, but you'll always leave a video and say, "Guys, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just taking a bit of a breather,
yeah.
and I'll be back with you tomorrow."
Yeah.
And that's
And that's it. And the only thing I did do last night, because I want to leave people hanging, is people that have inboxed me and they are suffering themselves. Even though I weren't on social media doing videos, I reply to those people because I want to ignore them, and I can't. I can't leave off for another day because what if something happens and I feel guilty then? So I replied to those, but I just didn't do any videos or anything like that. But yeah, you're right. I recognize. I know when I'm not right, and if I need to take a couple of days or a week,
But
I'll
that's
take what it takes.
good because you're prioritising the people who are
Yeah.
vulnerable. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, which is a good thing, and it's always good to be able to help. And I remember, I think it was about 3 years ago. I had, because again it was through a platform I was on, and I think I commented about having to go to the family court,
Mm,
and somebody from, I can't remember where in England, say Birmingham, whatever, they
mm,
messaged me on Messenger and said, "Hi, I hope you don't mind me messaging you. I
Mm.
noticed you said you'd been to the family court," and he said, "I've got to go myself.
mm,
I've got 2 girls that my ex is stopping me
Mm.
to see." And I was just after some advice, and I thought, "Do you know what?" And I just pressed ring on Messenger, and I rang this guy, and he was in complete shock. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to ring me."
yeah,
And
you
he
thought you
said,
just messaged him or
I was
something.
just expecting you to message me back, and I
Yeah.
said, "No." Look. I said, "Look, it's fine. What's going on? Let's have a chat." And again, I just went through everything with him, the procedure, the forms he had to fill out, how much it cost him for this. You can take a solicitor with you, you can represent yourself, blah, blah, blah. But at
Mm,
the end of it, he was like, "I'm so grateful that you rang me." And I was
Mm.
like, "Mate," I said, "I wish you well. Hope it all works
Mm.
out. 5 years ago, I couldn't have done this. But
No,
I'm
exactly.
now at a point where I've been rock bottom. And you don't,
Mm.
do you know what? When you're rock bottom, you don't want anyone else to feel like that.
No, you don't.
Do you know what I mean? I remember how I felt, and I just think I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
And it's right because
Thank you.
it actually hurts me to a point when some people message me and they tell me what they're going through. Right, I feel that pain again because I'm upset for them.
You're upset for them.
Because I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to, and this is why it's so important to what I do because I want to help people, and like with you for your stories, and you helped that guy. That's remarkable because you were able to help him.
to help him,
Mm.
and just to give him, and you haven't got the answers.
No.
We haven't always got the answers. We can't make it right for them. Sometimes people don't even hear. Sometimes they don't even really necessarily want to hear what you've got to say. Sometimes
No.
people just want to talk.
They do, and they just want to hear.
They just want to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is more important to some people. And
Mm.
if you can help people, because at the end of the day, like I said before, life's hard. Don't bottle things up.
Mm.
Just say it as it is.
Of course,
And
it is. It's the
especially
best
with
way.
this man, we've got to get it out because I think even I'm hearing people like it's going up, men and alive in themselves, and it's like, well, why is that?
It's hard,
Yeah.
and I've done it many a times myself where I've come home and I've sat on my drive and I've screamed in the car, I've cried in the car, and I've walked through the door and I go, "Hi, girls, Daddy's missed you," and I've smiled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Faking it
Yeah,
because I didn't want to upset them. And I think we've all done that.
100%. 100%.
And what you said earlier on about driving your car like a loony. When my father passed, and when I said about you've not been prepared emotionally, and what I meant by that was because I knew my father when he got diagnosed. He said he got diagnosed 2 years before, so we had a long time to prepare ourselves. So I thought emotionally I prepared myself. But you're not prepared for that stuff because when he passed that night, I screamed the house down because I was like, I couldn't believe it. And yes, I've said it before, I got up the next day, I'd done a video, I went to work because it's what he wanted me to do. And the one day, I can't even remember what day, whether it was a week later or whatever, I jumped in my car, right, I put the music up loud, and in the car I got outside, which is a powerful car, right, and how I didn't kill myself, I do not know, because I was driving like an absolute, I was going to swear, but I was driving like an idiot, absolute idiot. And I pulled over, and I was shaking, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
I've been there, Steve.
Yeah.
And I've driven, and I've not even, I've got in the car before now and just driven off without even a clue where I'm going. I've ended up in Brecon because my head's just turning circles.
Yeah.
And you just go. And where you're going, you're just driving.
No, and do you know the biggest thing for me, right? When my father, like I say, it took me years to actually come to terms with it properly, because again, emotional all the time, and I still do to a point. But I remember at the early days, I had to stop like having a drink on the weekends, because every time I had a drink, I'd listen to sad songs, and I'd listen to his song that for me with Father and Son, and it was destroying me.
And you mentioned the drink, and that's another thing. And I hands up admit, years ago, I got to a point where I was drinking every day. Every single
way
day.
Of like blocking out.
I was self-medicating.
Yeah, because and when you were drinking, you felt great to a point. Then you feel sad again when you was drinking, and then you get next day.
It doesn't solve a thing. You wake up the next day, you feel you've got no energy. You feel like crap. Right, you're not ready for the day.
No.
You feel just as anxious, if not more, than you did the day before. Right, it was just my way of floating off and trying to escape reality.
It does, because it's like it is like an antidepressant, because when you drink alcohol, you know, and I know, if you had a couple of drinks now, you feel even more relaxed than what you do now.
Yeah,
it does,
and that's what it does.
That's why people say things in drink, don't they?
Yeah, well, yeah. And I was like, and I got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
No,
I've got to start making the steps to say, right, you know what I mean? We all like a drink. I still enjoy a drink every single day. You know.
And you got like disconnect from it, like I did when I knew that I was having a drink on the weekends, and all I was doing, it was crying over my father. I had to, so that's when I chose at that time. I didn't drink alcohol for 3 months until I learned to deal with it better. And I still have the odd cry, but I have a cry when I haven't had a drink. You know what I mean? So that's different, and that's fine now. But I knew I had to disconnect from the alcohol until I could learn to deal with it, because it was making me worse. And they come Monday then, I felt horrendous then, because I call it the temporary depression stage then, because I was saying Monday, you've had drink all over the weekend, and then you're floored then.
You've got to, it's trying to replace the drink with something else.
Yeah.
And so gym, go for a walk.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go take the dog for a walk, or
do you know what I realised is, like, I'm having a drink now tomorrow, and I've said that. Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, so the 19th, I said I'll have a drink on the 19th, otherwise I would have done a whole of dry January, right?
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed not having a drink, right? Because I felt, and I've said it before, every time I've had, like, sometimes I'll have a month off or 2 months off or whatever in between, and every time I do that, I feel amazing. I feel amazing, right?
Good energy.
I don't feel bloated. I don't feel tired. I don't feel lethargic. I feel more energized in the gym. I feel like, not where, like, lately or for the last couple of months I've got to force myself. I feel like I want to go to the gym. I want to go to the gym, and I just feel I think clear. Right? I got no brain fog, so it proves alcoholic's toxic. I'm not saying I'm going to give it up immediately, but it does toxic. But when you have this element of time off, you're like, I love this feeling.
Ultimately, you got to bear in mind, alcohol is poison.
Yeah,
it is a poison.
It is. It's toxic.
We're putting poison in our body at the end of the day, and it's like, sometimes you got to think to yourself, who puts poison in their body?
Exactly.
We all do it, and obviously in the UK, it's kind of
yeah.
You know, come on, have a drink, innit?
And
you know?
What I'm going to say next, right? Tell me I'm not on my own with this, right? Like, we say we all like to have a drink, right? But do we really like the taste of alcohol? You don't go like a glass of pop and go, oh, I love that. We all say we do, but we don't really like the taste of it. We can't.
My dad used to say it's a required taste.
It is. Like, we all got to drink different alcohol, which we like more than one or the other. But you can't honestly say that alcohol really 100% tastes like you're drinking pop or a squash or something. Because it's different,
it's
isn't
the
it?
Effect, isn't it?
It is the effect,
That's all it is. You just loosen up.
Yeah, and it is good. Like, am I looking forward to tomorrow? Yeah, because after the last week or so, yes, I am looking forward. I'm going to be away with my best friend. I'm going to sit there. We're going to have a drink, and I'm just going to chill out. So it is going to be nice to do that. But after having a week of this, when I didn't come back from Philadelphia, I felt like crap for about a week after, because all that in my body. And I know I'm going to do that again.
I remember going to Magaluf with the boys years ago. I don't know if you've ever been.
I think
I was like
I don't know,
18,
Michael,
you
come
know
on,
what I mean?
yeah.
18.
I think I went when I was younger.
I
Yeah.
can't remember if we went for a
Not
week.
on the boys' holiday though.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, we was on boys' holiday. I mean, we had like,
Yeah.
you know, the bath was like full of San Miguel.
Oh my god.
Right?
Fill it up. Yeah.
And I think we had shelving like you've got
Mm.
in the apartment, and I think we decided that we were going to collect all our bottles
Yeah.
for the whole week.
Bloody hell.
Right. And we literally had San Miguel bottles everywhere.
Bloody hell.
But I remember like at the beginning of the holiday, all the pictures like were like
Mm.
you're like that.
Yeah.
Right, posing.
Yeah.
And
the end of the big guts.
And there's a picture of me at the end. There's like the last day,
Yeah.
and I'm like that on my bed, and my mate's taking a picture of me, and I'm just like, I knew he was taking a picture, but it was like I just didn't even want to look at him. I couldn't even acknowledge him, and it's like that's just what a week of drinking had done to me. I was just.
Do you know, funny that I also say, I'm joking around here, but I have seen it, right? I've seen on social media, but loads of people, right? They get ripped for their holidays, right? And they go on holidays for a week. And the end of the week, right? Their six-pack is gone. There's belly sticking
like
out.
that.
I'm like, what have you done that for?
Haven't we bothered to shave?
Yeah. That's why I just consistently have a dad body all year round.
Ain't nothing wrong with the dad.
No, I know. But it's not sustainable to stay in that, because like I see people in the gym, and one guy goes there, Chris, right, lovely guy, I've known him for years, and how old's Chris now? He's like 50, and he's done it twice now, pushed his body just to see. And the last time he done it, right, he pushed his body, he ate clean 7 days a week, trimmed down, had a six-pack, right, and got himself in good shape. He won't do it again now, because he said to me, it's not sustainable. When he come off doing what he was doing, is in this strict regime of the food, and within 2 weeks he lost all his six-pack.
I just literally went like
He
that.
went, yeah.
Wow.
And his belly started coming back. So he said it's not sustainable. And I said to him, that's why genetics come into it, because people have got gifted genetics. I don't care what people say. People say, oh, it's not genetic. It is. Because it's like when you got people which stay thin, they got to put a lot of calories in.
It's got to be a part of
yeah,
it.
so they got more chance of sustaining that six-pack and all those kind of things. But average people, no. You know what I mean? I'm never going to have a six-pack unless it's in the fridge.
Not now.
You know what I mean? And the training for me now is more, like we used to, is more for this up here, how it's functioning, how it's operating.
And that's why I've started again. And for a while I couldn't. I got into this frame of mind.
Yeah.
Mainly again, it was all going back to the CMS. It was like, I was like, I can't work. So I can't work. So the more I work, the more they're going to take away from me. So the less I've got. So I can never do anything again. I can't even go and get that job I want because they're going to take it all off me.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, well, I would like to join the gym. Oh, I can't afford the gym. Why can't you afford the gym? Because the more I'm working, the more they're taking away from me. It was just, why am I in this stupid situation where I'm living like this?
And then you probably want to do less for yourself anyway.
And then, when this is when and it keeps you in this sort of negative state of mind for a while until you sort of finally just think, well, this is stupid. I gotta get out of this somehow. And
I always remember, right, when I was going through, even when I said, like, when I had the breakdowns and stuff like that, I was still working, still had to. But for a long time, probably for about a year or more, right, every day I got to work, I'd look at my watch and thought, how quick can I get this day done so I can go back into my bedroom and hibernate? That's what I used to think about.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean...
And I felt like safer there.
Yeah, I've done that. I remember coming home to child maintenance letters and opening them, reading them, and just scrumpling them up, throwing them across the kitchen. And I'd go upstairs and I just pull the sheet over me. And it might be like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, that was my way of shutting out the world. Yeah.
And it's stuff like that you don't want to deal with. But in reality, we should never bury our heads. But we do when we go for stuff. When you're okay, then you won't bury your head. You go, right, well, I just got to deal with it. That's the end of it. But when you go for stuff, you're like, no, you'll just throw it. And you will pretend it never happened. You pretend you've never seen it. Or you try to. You know, but then that just escalates and it mounts. And then we cause more problems for ourselves then. But it's hard when you're in it to get out of it. But you can and you do.
When you're in that cycle. So like you said then, I've joined the gym recently, a couple of weeks ago, and it's just similar with you. It's like, I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not going to necessarily... Look, if I can, a little bit, great.
You will naturally change your body because you're training.
But I'm going for that.
You are, exactly.
And I remember coming out last week, and I walked out, and I was like...
Yeah, and
I felt so good, and I was like...
I bet that first day you went back, right? That was that you was on a real high. You was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing."
Don't talk to me about the first day in the gym.
Go on then.
Because I went to the gym.
Yeah.
I did about an hour, and I came home, and I was in agony.
Everything cramping up there.
I was like, I even got into bed. I was like,
Do you know the worst one? And it happens to me if I haven't been like for a week or so because I've been on holiday something. There's a gym and all day. I actively try and tick things over, nothing heavy. Is when I go back then, right, and I do like go on the squat machine or something like that. Then I go to sit on the toilet the next day and I'm like, my legs, and then you don't move.
Every session since I haven't had a session like the first one, but and I remember thinking, I went, oh, have I done the right thing here joining the gym? I thought, please tell me it's going to get easier.
Yeah.
And I remember I went on the treadmill. First thing I did, went on the treadmill, right? And I have got a little bit better, I've noticed. But a couple of years when I remember it when I was living in Trekenny, I went to the gym. I went to Team Reese, is it?
Oh yeah.
And I remember going on the treadmill, and I remember being on there for about 10 minutes, right? And I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? All right, about 8 years ago, got on the treadmill here now, didn't I? Quest. 3 minutes I did. I was like a puff.
But
I had to hit the stop button.
But things change anyway, because I think when we were younger as well, like I was about 7 years ago. Really, is when I stopped doing what I'm going to say next. I used to go to the gym every day. I would run 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how I feel, and then I would do an hour and a half on the weights, right? And I loved it. I thought it was great. But as I've got older, I can't do that all the time. And I'm thinking, why do I want to run all the time? Like last year, I said to Emily I'd do Caerphilly 10K with her. And that was me done. That was the last time I was ever going to do running. Because I used to run a lot. And yes, it used to keep me in reasonable shape and everything else. And I used to, my weight used to stay the same. Because I was doing a lot of exercise. And I was eating a lot of calories. But it was all leveling itself out. But, as you get older, I don't care what anyone says, it does get harder. I'm not a bodybuilder or anything like that. It's for my mental health. I go there, don't get me wrong, sometimes I go to the gym and I feel like a machine and I'll utilize that energy. But when I go there, I can lift a lot more weight than I'm lifting there now. And years ago, I used to do that, but now I lift what I want, what I feel comfortable with, and as long as I feel good.
That's what I do. I go in there, I do my hour. I don't.
That's what I
do it in my own leisure. I like my own. I don't push myself further than I need to. Just do what I gotta do. I come out and I just like right, like I'm ready for the day.
But you're doing something more now than you've done for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's
great.
It's
just those little things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, I've got it all sewn up. I still have my days where I'm just like,
But this is probably helping you now.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, easily. And I just think each year, when I look back, each year gets easier and easier. Right now, I've got my son living with me. He's been with me 2.5 years. I never thought in a million years. All right, it's only my son. My daughters are still with mum, but that's fine. I never thought I'd get one of my children living with me.
No.
And then I just think, well, I'm so glad I didn't give up.
No, and you've got to keep on going, and everything's going in the right direction for you. And then financially, right, you're going to have a bit more freedom with that, right? Because when people say, "Oh, money don't bring you happiness," no, it brings you. It might not bring you happiness. It helps a lot, right? Because I've been there when I couldn't pay things and I was upset. Once I started having a bit of money, right? Like now, I don't know wish if it happened, but if my washing machine blew up, right, I can go and buy one. You know what I mean? It's those kind of things.
Not quite there yet.
No, but that's what I mean.
But I know what you mean.
But then if I blew up, then you'd be panicking. You go, I can't afford a new washing machine. Am I going to have to get in debt for this? So that puts a smile on my face knowing I can do that.
No, when you can do it.
So yeah. So it does bring you happiness to a point. It doesn't bring you a person, that kind of happiness. It's a different kind of happiness.
Yeah.
So when people say money doesn't bring you happiness, I beg to differ because when I didn't have it, I was crying, I was panicking, I can't pay this, I can't pay that, upset. Now I can pay everything freely and I got money, I got disposable money, so I can go, I can go and buy myself a McDonald's now, where you might go, well, I can't really justify that in a minute.
I budget, but I've learned now how to, like, it's hard, and I've got, funny enough, it's a good point. I had a friend who lived up the road, and he came to the house a couple of years ago, and he'd gone through a breakup, so he'd gone back to live with his parents, a little bit younger than me, 38, something like that. So he'd gone back to live with his parents, and he was a bit like, no, I'm living with mum and dad. And he came to my house, and he was like, and we were talking about things. He went, I don't understand how you cope living the way you're living financially, because he was with mum and dad. We had the same job. He was like, I'm giving my mum like 50 quid a month, and all his money was like just his money. Just do whatever he wanted. All he had was his car. And he was going out all the time. He was taking himself on holiday, and he was like, "How are you coping? Like, you're paying everything out on Friday, and you're getting to like Wednesday." And I literally have had days when I've had 20 quid till Friday.
Yeah.
And I just said, "Well, I've got this.
Mm.
And he sort of looked around and he went, I guess, he said, because you've
Mm.
got what I want. I'd love to have my own home. And I said, look, I've got my own home, but all my money goes on it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing for anything else.
No, but you will.
Right now.
Right, not right now, but
Right
then,
now.
but that will happen, and I'm telling you now, it will, and you'll feel even better again. And the hardest thing I found, right, is like when money started getting a bit better, and I want to save a bit of money, is breaking through the £500 barrier, I call it, right? Because
Oh.
because I remember I saved to about £200, right, and something happened, then that went. Right? Then I got up to about 450, whatever it was. Something happened, that went, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I finally got the 500, and then I started building on that. But yeah, I find that first fight because what I realized is when I had a little bit of money, I thought I got to get, because I started thinking of things, and like I said about the washing machine, I was thinking,
Yeah, yeah.
if I can get right enough money for a washing machine in case that breaks down, and enough money for this, and enough money for that, and I started thinking it that way. So every time say I got £1,000, I was like, oh well, that would get me now a new washing machine, potentially a new TV if that blows up, and that's the way I was thinking of things all the time.
Yeah, because I'm still sort of like, oh, I'm relying on a credit card. Something happens